I'm back with another video, as per usual, and today, I'm here to answer the question, can anybody survive a Quickened post Brave Eirika? Surprisingly, a good amount of candidates could do it, but it relies heavily on damage reduction. Not external damage reduction, basically from skills that they can already access. Basically, the idea here is that, you know how Brave Eirika is really powerful in the player phase? Essentially, I just want to see if it's possible for a bunch of units to survive a hit from her, so that's what we're going to check. Oh, and I have to preface this by saying this is all done in a simulator, so it's not guaranteed to have similar results in the game, but it could. It's just a simulation. There's always going to be other factors that come into play when it comes to the actual game. So, we may as well just get started. We're going to take a look at each respective class. We're going to take a look at the infantry, the armors, the flyers, and the calves. For the first two, we're going to look at Myrrh and Ike, basically two units who have damage reduction, but not based on speed. I feel like if you're going to do damage reduction based on speed, it's going to be a bit tougher simply because of the fact that she has Surge Sparrow, +5 from her weapon, and attack speed menace. So that's going to be a bit difficult to pull off, especially with a base of 44 speed at +1. And speaking of which, every unit here is +1, just so we can get rid of the flaw. But yeah, I find that using some sort of like spurn taking may be a bit more difficult, especially since she is relatively fast. Although there are probably exceptions to that rule. Even so, I chose Myrrh and Ike just for the easiest comparisons. For Myrrh, he has Assured Rebirth, which basically is a super Dragon Ball that can grant up to 60% damage reduction, which is actually what's going to allow him to take a hit or two and then retaliate back with a Moonbow or Iceberg. That being said, he barely survives, but the fact that he has to take 2 Moonbows is really strong, considering the fact that Eirika reduces a lot of damage from her special. So it's really nice to see that at least Myrrh can survive it, but also if we go to someone like Brave Ike, we can see that he can also survive it, simply because of the fact that Urbana is a ridiculously good weapon when it comes to damage reduction. I'm pretty sure that even if you remove Sturdy Stance and Steady Breath, he should be able to survive, simply because of the fact that he has a bunch of damage reduction from his weapon. He doesn't really even need skills to survive, he could just do it. That's pretty crazy. But again, it's Brave Ike. I'd be shocked if he wouldn't survive, simply because, you know, it's Brave Ike, he gets stupid amounts of damage reduction. I also imagine that a Speedy Dragon that runs attack speed unity and Dragon Ball should be able to survive her as well, simply because of the fact that her res is not nearly as high as her speed, meaning that you can actually take advantage of the damage reduction. But enough about the infantry, let's go on to the notable armors first, before we look at the red armors. The notable armors include Brave Hector and Ascended Idun. They're basically the same unit in a lot of aspects, so I added them both to the simulator. With Maltet, Bonfire, Close Defense, Crafty Fighter, Near Save, and Steady Breath, he can actually eat a hit and retaliate back with a Bonfire and take her out on the retaliation with no issue whatsoever. And the same is going to be applied to Idun, simply because of the fact that they do basically the same thing, except she does take a bit more damage. I think that's just... Actually, why does she take more damage? I think it's relative to the HP stat, simply because of the fact that Idun has a bit less HP, and she only inflicts -5 instead of -6 attack, so it should be about the same, give or take. Now, you may be thinking to yourself that this may be a bit cheating, simply because of the fact that they have built-in Surveillance Shield. But what if we took 2 units that don't have built-in Surveillance Shield? Halloween Myrrh and Black Knight. Halloween Myrrh has a damage reduction skill on every second hit, similar to Brave Edelgard, but she can also run Hardy Fighter, which is going to allow her to take both hits really well. The first one, she does take a bit more damage, obviously, because she doesn't get as much damage reduction, but the fact that she can get Hardy Fighter going on both attacks because of Steady Breath, and her PRF grants 70% damage reduction on the second hit, it stacks up really well, and she ends up taking the second hit really well. As for the Black Knight, he can actually run a higher cooldown damage reduction special simply because of the fact that he has Slang in his PRF. So with Close Defense 4, Hardy Fighter, and Steady Breath, he can also survive 2 hits. He's getting a lot more damage reduction on the first hit, so that's probably why he has better survivability. I'm pretty sure if it weren't for the fact that Black Knight couldn't run Pavis consistently, that he wouldn't be able to survive. But you know what? Let's check. Yeah, if it weren't for Pavis, he would not be able to survive. But we do know that the red armors are able to survive with the right skills, mainly Hardy Fighter and a damage reduction special, albeit with varying success depending on the unit. Now how about we go to the flyers real quick. We could go with Thea and Paula. They are going to have to make a speed check simply because of the fact that guard bearing does not allow you to get damage reduction on both hits. It's only on the first hit. So they will have to run attack speed unity to bypass the menace and then hope that they could just outspeed so they aren't getting doubled. And in Thea's case, she can, not only because she's reversing attack speed menace's effects, but she also has attack speed Rhyme and attack speed Form. So she is avoiding a lot of the doubles. Guard bearing with attack speed unity should allow you to survive a single hit and only take a single hit because she has the speed for it. Now, what if we take someone that's a bit slower and in an unfavorable color, such as Paula? I gave Paula Unbound Blade with a speed refine and basically the same kit, and if we look down, she can also survive. In fact, she may even be able to take her out on the player phase. In fact, she can, because she has Moonbow. So that's cool. Now, we've been talking about enemy phase, enemy phase, enemy phase, right? For the last one, I want to look at the Cavs, because the Cavs are going to be the most interesting simply because of the fact that they don't have access to notable damage reduction skills. But is it possible for a cavalry unit to survive a Brave Eirika with an instant special? The answer is yes, but depending. The name of the game with this one is the player phase, because the only cavalry units that have access to notable damage reduction skills are the Lance Cavs, simply because of the fact that they can use Courtly Candle or Stout Lance and then deflect melee. If this were to be used in the enemy phase and you were to try and outspeed, Courtly Candle and Stout Lance would not work, and deflect melee would fail because the foe would not be able to double. That being said, if we took a slower cavalry unit and made them player phase, then it could be entirely possible for them to take both hits, reduce the first one by 50, and then reduce the second one by 80. And if we look at the results, he is able to survive. In fact, if we give him another initiation, he can take her out. The name of the game for the cavalry units is going to be the player phase, simply because of the fact that they need access to deflect melee and Stout Lance and Courtly Candle. Outside of that, it's going to be a bit more difficult for them to survive simply because of the fact that Eirika's going to be attacking twice. She's going to get 2 Moonbows off in the enemy phase, and you can't necessarily speed stack against her because you either have to run Granny's Shield or you have to hope that they can take a hit, which most cavalry units cannot do. So your best bet is the player phase. And that's about it for the video. I thought this would be a good tidbit video simply because of the fact that I found this topic kind of interesting. It was recommended to me by a friend, so I figured that I would make a video on it. If you want to see more videos like this, or you have any other ideas, let me know down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.